one of the most famous moments in fighting game history to start this. This is kinda 240p glasses mode, but I'll do my best. Okay? Everyone has seen this, right? Damn. I will never forget, by the way, the first time I watched this, I didn't hear the "Let's Go Justin" until someone pointed it out, and since then I could not unhear this, and this was fucking pain. That is actually so painful. Like, the moment that someone says that before one of the most ridiculous moments in any tournament ever happened, and then you're on the losing side of that, and someone says that, I'm so sorry. But anyway, let's. Okay. Yup. Everyone out there. EVO relatively small. Well, not even. This is a pretty big EVO, actually. It looks pretty big. Unbelievable. Okay. So let's run this back. I'm definitely not the first person who's talked about this, by the way. But so a bunch of people have talked about what makes this so ridiculous. So Daigo has to come back against Justin Wong. Chun-Li has a super. If she connects with the super, he's going to die. Ken is living on a prayer. He's just gonna get chip killed. For people who haven't played fighting games for a long time, there are some games, not every fighting game, if you block a super or a special, you can die from it when you have like no life, and this game has that. But this game also has the parry system, so you can press forward or down. In this case, he's gonna do forward in order to like reject the attack. So there's like layers to how ridiculous this is, right? So the first layer is the fact that he even does it, and then and also Justin tried to feint him out like several times. The second ridiculous part is that he had to do it 17 times, I believe is the count, and there's gaps here, and he jumps and he has this punish, right? Boom, 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 super. Okay. Of course, there's an execution part. So at the baseline, your friends will be like, "Oh my god, yeah, he did like 5 parries, and he waited a sec, he did 5 more, then he jumped, parried, land, button, combo." Okay, that's cool. When you go deeper, you learn that Daigo actually had to do this before the super happened because of how the parry works and how the super flash works. He has to do this before the super happens, right? So basically, Justin is like feinting him and stuff. Daigo has to do this parry before this. All of us watching see this. Daigo did the parry already. And then it comes and parry happens. Which brings me to what this topic is that I don't think too many people discuss, and this is what I like to call commitment. While this is a ridiculous moment, and he had to do this in a really high pressure situation, this is like an EVO finals. I don't know if it's grand finals specifically, but it's like EVO finals. Like this is the top 8, like the stage matches that everyone watches, right? While this is ridiculous, the fact that the parry is done by pressing forward. While it's ridiculous he had to do this, it's not so far-fetched. It is not actually such a far-fetched decision, and the reason is because of this topic. Some people think that this commitment thing ties into risk return, but these are two actually different things. And the fact that you can press forward and do this makes the choice not that risky of a gambit, especially considering that his back's to the wall, and you know, if he blocks he's going to die anyway, so why not go for this thing that's basically super low commit, and if he gets it, I'll try the thing I practiced, and if I get it, I win, right? And then we have, of course, damn, they're losing their shit, by the way. Okay. So, what do I mean by commitment then? The actual action of commitment. So, most people will talk about risk return. This is the idea that each action you have has a certain amount of risk assigned to it, and then like if it's successful, you have a certain amount of return. If it's not successful, you'll take a certain amount of damage, right? Some people say that moves have a certain amount of risk and return attached to them. Most people say like a move like 2K or 5K, 5P or 2P. These are all like low risk, low return actions, right? If a move like 5K hits, you generally don't get like a big combo. You basically get a bunch of kicks into dust, and in Amelia's case, if she has meter, she can cash out, but that takes a resource, right? If you hit 2P, in this version, you can do a combo into S disc or super, whatever. The heavy buttons, then most people are like, oh, these are high risk, high return. If I miss these, I'm vulnerable for quite a while. But when I hit people, I get good confirms, I get good damage. And especially if I get a counter hit, you get the Bumbleclap counter hit, and this is mad damage. It's going to be like 50% plus of your life, depending on what character you're playing and the situation that you're playing. But commitment is actually different than that, even though it sounds the same. And the main difference is going to be contextual, actually. The part that people miss about risk return is it applies to the context a lot more than commitment. So for example, 2K, 5K, we say these moves are like low risk, low return in general, right? But if you're blocking like Soul and he's doing this, he can pick two things, right? He can pick that, or he can pick this. And then Bumbleclap mode. If I'm wrong on challenging, when I'm right, my return is pretty good. When I'm wrong, it's over. Look, done. This is going to delete me. This is going to lead to the mythical Soul touch of death. I'm probably gonna die. Despite this move generally being considered low risk, low return, in this context, there is actually a decent amount of risk because if I pick the button wrong, I'm going to take a ton of damage, especially, you know, Guilty Gear Strive. I heard the damage is kind of high in this game. Meanwhile, in that same situation, if you look at it from a commitment perspective, even though it's kind of risky, it is relatively not that committal as opposed to doing something, which is probably going to miss maybe. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Emilio. Thank you for that connecting. That is not just high risk, high return, but it's also very committal for a couple of reasons. One, the difference between literally pressing 2K or 2P or whatever and doing the entire half circle back into forward and press a button. So the whole input, like I have to be focused and ready to just do that, where I can like kind of twitch react, press kick, press punch like that. And two, what happens when I actually do it? So her 2 kick is extremely fast. I refer to it as total duration. So from the beginning of the move to start up to the actual part that hits you, the active frames, and then the recovery, the end part of the move where she's kind of just out there, that whole total duration is extremely fast. It's almost instant speed. Like you almost can't react to it. As in generally when you and especially your opponent sees this move, by the time they're like, oh, Millie did 2K, I'm already doing something else. Where when she does Winger, there is a whole movie, bro. Look at this movie. Look how cute my girl is, right? And then she goes all the way up, and then she perches up and dives at you like the eagle in the start of the game. And then if you block this, she's like minus God knows how what. This is like the extreme of commitment, right? The difference is, and this is why I wanted to use these two situations, Winger is going to be a high commitment action no matter where I do it. Where my, you know, light kicks, 2K, it may not be so much depending on the situation. We can even take it a step further for Strive. So like this example that I used, you can kind of use this logic for like any game basically, but we can go a little bit further for Strive because there's some mechanics in the game that people think are not useful or don't have a place. And so I'll just Sagem because I know Sagem already made a couple of videos about instant block, but these two mechanics are perfect examples of it, and FD also. So one, FD, they made it much more clear how strong it is. I think it was strong since the game came out, but they made it stronger and that doesn't add block stun anymore. So when you would FD this, he was actually +4 at one point, but additional pushback. Now he's just +2 period, and he gets pushed back a lot because of like character changes and stuff. This is not only a 0 frame action, but you aren't really committing to anything. The only thing you're doing is just you're spending tension, you're spending your meter, you're spending a resource on it. That's it. And as far as like instant block and instant block FD, so because of how this works, you can take advantage of the situation to basically make it not committal at all to the level of the parry. Speaking of the parry, side note, quick tangent, I think it's important to note. Someone in the stream chat said the exact number. Parry does have a lockout. Guilty Gear used to have an instant block lockout too. I don't actually remember if this current version of Strive has an instant block lockout, but typical Guilty Gear lockout for instant block is like 30 frames. This is basically your only punishment for missing instant block. And the reason why is because they understand how powerful it is that like you basically don't do anything and you have a strong defensive option. This is a situation that happens a lot, and this is a very specific easy use of easy. You do have to practice this. This is you do have to learn the timing for this. But so if you don't know about Mei, Mei has this charge 6H, which has my favorite mechanic on it, Guard Crush. And then this move is +8 on the Guard Crush. And then she has H Dolphin after. In this version of the game, you can actually push her out a little bit. But no matter what, that H Dolphin is going to be airtight, and that's +5, and she just gets back in right away. To add a little bit more to this, let's make her do like 5k. Cool. If I try to escape normally, right, can't move, can't mash. Okay, thankfully they made this a little bit larger, but what you used to have to do is actually try to instant block FD this. In this case, once you actually block the 6H, you can't do anything anyway, because this is airtight normally. So it's like you might as well try to do it and learn the timing for this. If you aim a little early, you have a 2-frame window to do this, right? It's extremely tight. If you just always aim to do it before the attack comes out, there is basically, you're not committing anything. You would be blocking the +5 move anyway. If you FD, you push her away anyway, and then if you IBFD, you push her away even more. So it's like you might as well just try it. The worst that could happen is that you just FD the H Dolphin, and the best that happens is that you get an instant block FD. So the same goes for instant block. So this move outside of shock state is like hella punishable. But as you can see, he's really far away. So if you don't play like Ram or Soul, it can be pretty hard to get to. Again, you might as well try to do it because you're not attacking, you're not doing anything. So if you can instant block Dire Clear, you just get close. You might as well try. I get nothing. I mean, I'm not getting punished for missing it. All they can do is try to throw my timing off, which gives me extra options. Just getting one. I forgot her far slash was 10. So like, even if you missed a Dire Clear, but you get like other ones, you still get a punish. As long as you put the instant block near the beginning of the timing, you can kind of like buffer it so that if they attack in that time, you might get it, and it's the might that helps you. It will also help you start recognizing when you get it, so that you might have situations where you can do something you might not normally be able to do. Does that make sense? When I think about like attacks and defensive mechanics, I think about risk return, of course, and you should think about risk return, but I also think about the level of commitment, because like there are some really strong options that are basically like you don't have to commit to doing them at all. Like you're doing them, by doing them you're not overextending in any way, or you're only overextending a little bit. And this is what is so cool about this moment right here. While he could miss it, like him missing it in this case, he would lose the round from chip damage, but it was way better of an option because he did not have to overextend compared to other things he could have done. If we go back and look at the specific moment, like the specific moment that's like just before, because parry is not the only thing he could potentially do to get out of this situation, right? He could like DP the super, like psychic DP. Daigo's pretty famous for that, right? That's one of the main things he's known for, is the Ume Shoryu, right? But that is, again, looking back, a Dragon Punch. Not only is the risk return high in this game for it, but it's also really committal, and this is a spot where he's trying to turn the game around. Like he's trying to do something like, what am I going to do to get out of this? Like my back's to the wall. He's definitely going to super me because it's the nicest, safest way to do it. And Justin is feinting him also. Little things to try to get him to do something that he could super too. So like if, for example, Daigo bit and tried to do a fireball there, Justin would super through a fireball. If Daigo tries to DP the super, which he has to predict super hard, oh, Justin waited, okay, I just walk up and do like back fierce into super. As opposed to this, while it has lockout, you can actively see Daigo trying to parry multiple times because you keep seeing him tap forward. He tapped forward here, he tapped forward again, and then here he got it. So this is not something you could just think about for Guilty Gear. You can think about this for basically any game, really, any fighting game of any type. Any questions?